Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Lloyd's ASMR. Tonight we are going to take a look at the rest of this magazine. I unfortunately had to do this magazine in two parts because it is quite large. I think there's 5 chapters total. So we're going to finish this up tonight, or at least attempt to finish this magazine. So we are now on chapter 3, something is out there. I see what they did there. This here is a major slogan in the X-Files. Now, the way this magazine is set up is there's 2 parts. There's a murder mystery half and then a paranormal half. Well, we are on the paranormal half with spooks, specters, and ghosts, UFOs, and cryptids. Very strange things. So, let's get started. Well, right off the bat here, looks like we have UFO sightings, too credible to be ignored. And what they're getting at with that is reports by pilots, cops, even astronauts, force officials to take them seriously. Very interesting. Now this is something neat. I've actually heard about this before. The most UFO-friendly town in America, which is Roswell, New Mexico. Now, if we look down here, we can see that even President Obama, or former President Obama, said of the Pentagon's UFO videos, "We don't know exactly what they are, but apparently still acknowledging that there is something." Here we have a little museum display of when they supposedly found a couple aliens within the crash site. And this here is actually a photo of a U.S. military officer with some of the debris from the UFO crash in Roswell. And then, of course, Area 51, a very famous location where it's believed aliens as well as UFOs are housed there, and tests and experiments are being performed. And here we have alien abductions. Truth or con? Now the first one we have here, the novelist. Let's see if, here we are. Author, I guess it says right here actually, a popular horror novelist, Whitley Strieber, was rudely awakened one night in 1985 by something that could have come from one of his books. A pair of non-human visitors, as he called them. That's interesting. Now, unfortunately, his credibility is kind of questionable. I mean, he is a popular horror novelist. So, Now, number 2, the logger. Now, I heard about this, and there's actually a movie made about his encounter, and the movie is called, where is it? There it is. Fire in the Sky, made in 1993, about Travis Walton, who went missing in the Arizona forest in 1975. Authorities launched a massive search that ended when the logging worker turned up on the side of the road about 30 miles from where he had last been seen. When asked what had happened, Walton claimed that the truck he'd been riding in with 6 co-workers had come upon a hovering saucer, and he states it was a metallic glowing disc making some very strange sounds. The closer I got to it, the more scared we all got, and they were swearing at me to get away from there. And when I got up close, it suddenly got louder and started to move. But anyhow, if you watch the movie, it goes into full detail about his horrifying experience amongst the aliens. Now, number 3, we have the fisherman. I have not heard of this encounter, and we'll probably just skip it for now to save time. But like I said before, if any of you want to hear about these stories, we can do that. I mean, I can even, further research these stories and maybe add to it. So, just let me know and we'll see what we can do. A spacecraft crash in Missouri is said to have been covered up for decades. Did a preacher give last rites to aliens? Well, that's interesting. So this story is part of Cape Girardeau's history. UFO researcher Michael Huntington told KSFV-TV, "It's part of our culture. It's part of our regional folklore." So, this whole story here must be, that important to them that they actually made it part of their folklore. Here we are. The inspiration for Men in Black. A report that began with a flying saucer raining down debris was tailor-made for a blockbuster film franchise. Now, I've actually heard stories about people encountering these actual Men in Black. They're not as hip or cool like these guys portrayed, but more secretive and almost scary. And they kind of look like this right here. They usually wear a hat, and then a black suit. Some even say that they're completely hairless. They don't even have eyebrows. And some even think they may actually be aliens themselves. Never know. Never know. Even former President Jimmy Carter apparently even had strange encounters with UFOs. And this here's another interesting topic. A puzzling tale of mutilated cattle. And as you can see on this little tiny map here, it's all in like one area, one rounded off area. You never see much over here on the East Coast or the West Coast. It's always in the center region of the United States. Now, I'm sure that other countries may have experienced cow mutilations before. I wouldn't think that, aliens just have a fascination about American cattle. I'm sure they experiment on cattle all around the world. There's a little classic UFO. I guess seeing like Mars Attacks or something. Well, for instance, here we go. Even Britain has its own Roswell. Lights over Phoenix. I've heard many stories about these strange lights over Phoenix, Arizona, and the surrounding area. Now, could it be UFOs? Maybe it's one giant mothership. You see how the lights are kind of information? I mean, that could, that could mean both. It could be a bunch of tiny UFOs, just information, sticking together, being safe. It could be the outline of a mothership. You never know. I've heard about this too. Flying saucer at O'Hare Airport. More than a dozen witnesses reported seeing a metallic disc pierce the clouds above Chicago. Now that's interesting. I'm not questioning the credibility of the witnesses, but it makes me wonder why would a UFO, which, aliens are supposed to be maybe highly intelligent and more sophisticated than us, but why would a UFO allow itself to be seen over an airport? Makes you wonder, So here we go. Six best places to hunt for UFOs. Number 1, San Clemente, Chile. Number 2, Sedona, Arizona. Number 3, End Triangle, Russia. Number 4, Wycliffe Well, Australia. Number 5, Warminster, England. And number 6, Joshua Tree, California. The 6 best places to search for UFOs. Here we go. Chapter 4 already. We're getting there, folks. We're getting there. We'll almost have this magazine complete. And then maybe I can get us another one. But, Chapter 4. Ghosts and haunted places. And well, this picture right here, if I was walking down that corridor, that would be a horrifying scene. Hazy apparitions, a sense you're being watched, suddenly feeling like someone is standing behind you. But when you turn around, no one is there. These are tales of the supernatural. Marie LaVue is just one of the many spirits who inhabit St. Louis Cemetery, number 1 in New Orleans, where a voodoo queen reigns over the dead. Spooky. According to tour guides, the Voodoo Queen is none too happy about the stream of visitors to her tomb. When not seen strolling the French Quarter in her red and white turban, she's been known to pinch cemetery visitors who she feels don't believe in voodoo. I mean, I'd kind of be upset too if I had all these visitors disturbing my grave, you know? Looks like there's even been some paranormal sightings at the White House, including Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Jackson, and Eleanor Roosevelt all have been spotted at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in the White House. And maybe if you look closely in these windows, you'll see somebody staring right back at you. Don't even think of sleeping in Danny's bed. A 7-year-old poltergeist torments a Georgia family. And poltergeists can be, really, really nasty. They can throw things. They can cause physical damage to you and your surroundings. Just like here, he says how this one person in the family, Jason, said he felt sick. So, it can cause a lot of physical damage. I've heard of people being choked, being held down, scratched, thrown, all kinds of things. And apparently that's what happened with this family. And it's all because of a haunted bed, which brings me to the whole thing about haunted objects. If a spirit enjoyed this object or had an emotional attachment in some way to this object in life, then this attachment can follow them in death. My theory is, it can remind a spirit of, memories, or just of life itself that it had lost. So that's why maybe they hold on to these objects. Here's a famous spirit or witch. Beware the vengeful Bell Witch. The Tennessee spirit tormented a farmer and scared a future president. Now, like I said, I know there's a lot of Bell Witch fans out there. So if you'd like me to, read this story or investigate further, just let me know. The Angry Spectre at Emily's Bridge. Does the spirit of a jilted lover linger at a New England covered bridge? Interesting. Nathaniel Hawthorne drew inspiration from this historic mansion with a ghostly repetition. The scariest house in Salem. I've never been to Salem, Massachusetts, but I would absolutely love to go there. See some of the historic sites about the witch trials and things like that. I think it would be quite interesting. And here we go. Check into the Lizzie Borden house if you dare. Curl up for a night where one of the most famous double murders took place. So, I'm sure everybody knows about the Lizzie Borden story. Here she is. But, if you don't, then the story is that she killed her entire family. Her mother up in the bedroom, and her father while he was sleeping on the couch. And she murdered them with an axe. Why she did it, never know. Was she maybe possessed by a demon? Maybe. Or maybe she was just mentally ill. But we'll never know the truth. Reincarnation. Now this here's a fascinating topic. I've actually kind of followed the whole theory of reincarnation a little bit, and I've read some stories, and it's quite fascinating that some of these people who claim to be reincarnated, some of them actually remember, or some of them actually know key facts about their previous life, or supposed previous life. Just like there's this one about an Air Force pilot or something who died in like World War II, and a child from nowadays who looks just like the pilot, a younger version, but is not related. And this child, with supposedly no research being done on the child's part, knows his whole life story, the pilot's, as well as key information about airplanes and aviation. Now, how this child knows this without researching it, and he stated that to his mother that he had a past life, he was in a war, he died in a plane crash, in fine detail. It's really quite interesting. And there's been other stories too. People who claim they've been on Titanic, other wars, things like that. You never know. Now here's an interesting place. For some odd reason, this bridge, dogs just, for no reason, start leaping off. If you take a dog for a walk, it'll leap off. It's really weird. So who knows what that's about? Maybe it's about energy or something, Friendly spirits refuse to leave their mansion. That's another thing. Just like being attracted to items, they can also be attracted to the house that they lived and died in. Or even sometimes maybe a spirit doesn't even know they're dead. So, here we go. That's where Lloyd works. The hotel that inspired The Shining. Right here. and it's the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. And it's believed to be one of the most haunted locations in America. Looks like we're at the end of Ghosts. Then we'll be on to the final section, which is Cryptids and Beasts. But first, let's take a look at the 5 most haunted. Number 1, Alcatraz, San Francisco. Number 2, Eastern State Penitentiary, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Number 3, West Virginia Penitentiary, Moundsville. Number 4, Missouri State Penitentiary in Jefferson City. And number 5, Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield. Chapter 5, Strange Beasts. Otherwise known as cryptids. Vampires, werewolves, monsters. These creatures terrify and enthrall, with reports of sightings spanning centuries and countries. How can skeptics insist they're all a hoax? I don't know, but I really love this picture. Has my favorite animal right here, the wolf, howling at the moon. And it has my favorite tree, the pine trees. Here we are. Everyone knows about the Loch Ness Monster. Now, if Nessie and Champ, etc., if they are real, my bet is, and it's not just because I like dinosaurs, but my bet is it's some way, somehow, a species of aquatic dinosaur that somehow has survived. Or it could just be some mutated freak of nature, you know? But if it is real, my money goes on a dinosaur. Either a leftover or some sort of relative. The man claimed to be a zombie. Now, we're not talking Night of the Living Dead or Resident Evil style zombie. We're talking a voodoo zombie. Did a Haitian voodoo witch suck the spirit out of him? Or was he drugged? I don't know. I mean, there's all kinds of, medical miracles and breakthroughs, where people are claimed to have been dead, but then they hear like knocking on the morgue freezer or something, They open it up, the person's actually alive, It's pretty scary if you think about it, for both parties. Scary to be locked up in a morgue freezer, and, scary if you're the mortician, and all of a sudden you hear somebody that's supposed to be dead knocking and banging. I'd probably run right out of the building. Either way. Vampires. Through history, the stuff of myth, superstition, and blockbuster movies. Some bloodsuckers were said to have really lurked among us. Number 1, rocks in their heads. So the story about this is back in the 5th century, an archaeologist found this skull with a rock jammed in its mouth. Now, it's theorized that they did this because they thought they were vampires or werewolves or zombies, something like that. So they'd jam a rock in their mouths when they were dead. the legend behind Dracula. He was a very brutal man. Very brutal. Number 3, Elizabeth Bathory. Right here. Number 4, Mercy Brown. Here's the grave. Number 3, the Highgate Vampire. Again, if any of these stories sound interesting to you, just let me know, and we'll dig further into them. The Curse of the Mummy. Did Egypt's pharaohs make deadly sure nobody would disturb their tombs? I'm sure a lot of you have heard about what happened to the archaeology team and crew members when they found King Tut's tomb. They got sick. A lot of them died. Just straight up cursed, really. So, it's believed that this all occurred because they disturbed King Tut's tomb and therefore awoken the curse. This is a really cool picture too. A werewolf in Mexico. There are reports of a Nahal prowling the country's south. But are they the result of the COVID crazies? Looks like some Mexican psychotherapist blames COVID. That inspired collective hysteria. I don't know. Werewolf sightings have been, reported long before COVID happened, so. Hundreds of volunteers, including law enforcement, are looking for the huge four-legged beast in search of the Dog Man, which is still pretty much a werewolf, if you ask me. Some people say it's separate, but it's a werewolf. The FBI's Bigfoot file. A quick little story about Bigfoot. Where I live, there's a state park, which I've actually taken you guys and gals to. But there's actually been reports of a Sasquatch being seen by not a civilian, but a park ranger. And I've been really, really interested in the case. If you guys would like to hear about it, once I start gathering more information, of course, then maybe I'll make a video about it. The tantalizing tale, pun intended, of the Hawaiian mermaid. Right there. Was that a lovely, flippered female frolicking amid the dolphins? So it looks like whatever it was, mermaid or seal or something like that, was sunbathing on the rocks. Interesting. Well, that's a horrifying creature. Chupacabra or coyote. The goat-sucker beast of myth has been sighted all over North and South America, as well as the Caribbean. That thing is terrifying looking. It could be a coyote or a wolf or a dog or some kind of canine with mange. I've seen bears that have mange like this, and they are absolutely terrifying looking. They look like something kind of a horror movie. So, and there's a possibility it could be a chupacabra or just a poor coyote or dog with a bad case of the mange. And what mange is it's a parasite that affects the skin and the hair, similar to lice. And then unfortunately the dog, loses all of its hair. It's quite sad, actually. But that is the end of our magazine. Now, like I said, I will try to find some more magazines like this that we can take a look at and sit back and sleep and just relax together. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you could find it relaxing as well as educational and fascinating. But until next time, I want you all to stay safe, stay happy, healthy, and of course, relaxed. This is Lloyd's ASMR signing off.